Hey, it's Chronologically Gaming, the only channel that's perpetually retro because we're playing every video game in order of release. The only place where you can experience the video game industry like never before. We're going to play everything. Let's take you back. Our last game was from 1980. If you're just tuning in, we are playing all the games that were released at some point in 1980 in alphabetical order. We last played Creature Venture for our Apple II, and let's push forward to our next game. After Creature Venture, we're going to take a look at Dodge-em. All right, yes, Dodge-em for the Atari 2600. If we played Head-On in the arcades and you're like, that looks a lot like Dodge-em, probably because you played Dodge-em first for the Atari 2600. Let's take a look at the artwork for Dodge-em for Atari 2600. We've seen a lot of different Activision releases this year. This is the debut in 1980 of Activision, so to see a release that's not by Activision is a little rare now. So this is Dodge. We got 3 games that we can play, 1 or 2 players. And then for the back of the box, this is controlled with the classic Atari joystick. Love it. And there's the example of the cartridge. Dodge-em. Again, the artwork on Atari is awesome. Love it. Oil is what I'm guessing they did on that one. I'm not an art connoisseur, but I mean, it's just great. And there's the example of the screenshot for Dodge-em. Let's take a look at the manual for the Atari 2600. There we go, with the artwork. Nice, they're going for the 1930s buggy. That's great. And let's see what we can do, or what the manual has for us. Introduction, the big race is on. It's you against the Demolition Derby King, Crash and Clyde. Wait a second, they put a story in for a Head-On clone? 1080 max score, oh my goodness. If he doesn't single-handedly destroy your car, he'll bring on his sidekick, Smashin' Sam. So we got Crashin' Clyde and Smashin' Sam. You'll be racing counterclockwise, and we'll race clockwise, and they will race clockwise trying to ram into your car. They are tough and mean, and with them, there's no such thing as a clean, fair race. This is a real test of your defensive driving skill. I don't know if it's defensive driving skill. Nice try, Atari. You'll need to know when to speed up and when to slow down, and you'll have to make quick lane changes to avoid a smash-up. Crash and Clyde just keeps ramming your car until it dies. Crash and Clyde follows no rules. The surviving car and driver will win. Are you ready to face the challenge? If you are, line up at the gate and start your engine. So this is obviously the home version, not the first. We've seen computer home versions of Head-On that was originally by Sega in the arcades. Object of the game is to race your car around the 4-lane track without crashing into the opponent's car. Games 1 and 2 are against the computer, and 3 is against another player. That's what I want to see. In the arcades, we weren't able to play that way. You had to play with or against the computer. So that's got to be fun to have 2 people there. But sadly, I don't have anybody with me at this point. Tomorrow we should have a special guest. Chris Alimo from Classic Gaming Quarterly should be joining us. So that'll be fun to play some of these games with him. So you run over the dots. It's a dot collecting game like Pac-Man. And yeah, there he explains the different heats of the car that you play. Yes, and like we've seen with all the Atari manuals, the controller shows you what happens if you move left, right, forward, and backward. How to accelerate. You push the gas pedal, which is the red button, the only button on your Atari controller. And then for steering, yeah, it explains how the steering works. For console controls, they have a few screenshots explaining what things are. Computer car is blue. Our car is going to be red, and then how many turns you have left and which game you're playing on. And then we even have the difficulty switch, which we haven't used too much on the channel, but it's another mode that you can switch on the physical console and just change a few things about the game, which is great. So it looks like we can go from twice the normal speed to the so you basically make the game faster using the difficulty switch. And then the other one switches where the starting positions are on the track. So that's a nice one. And then the other thing we've seen, it's a little rare, but we've seen a few times, you can set the TV color switch because the console had a black and white or color switch. Yes, we're still playing games with black and white televisions that were in the home. I had a black and white, that was my first television, was a black and white television. So know all about this, and they're now making that switch add functionality to the games, which is a nice touch. All right, so different game variations. This explains the 3 of them. Pretty simple. We've seen 150 game variations, so 3 is not as many as we've seen. Not anything to scoff at. And then how the scoring works, and helpful hints like they've always done with Atari. I love that. And here we go. Yes, we've seen manuals that have notes. This is your best track record, so you can write down your records of playing the game. So cool. Loving the manuals. Okay, so for different versions, we have alternate versions and then European versions. We're going to play the first, which is the North American release. This is Dodge 'em, released by Atari for the Atari 2600 in 1980. And there you go. For every game that you start on Atari, always has this attract mode. We're going to switch out, and there's game 2 and game 3. We're going to go with game 1, and then we push reset on the console, and we're off. We're playing Dodge 'em. So I'm on the left side. I am the orange car playing against the computer, and the computer already crashed into me. I do have an accelerator. I got to remember to use that, my one red button. But you have to make sure you switch lanes before the car makes a decision. The computer control the car. There we go. It is very addictive, very fun to play. Man, this is a great port, too. You got 3 lives, and we'll just go again with game mode 2. I haven't switched up the difficulty, so same game speed for the car. All right, we got to tear this up. Oh, see, he crosses lanes. If you do it too soon, you won't be able to get it finished. You'll get crashed. We've got constant car sounds as we play, and you only have a little bit of the accelerator button you can use. All right, let's go back to game 1, and we're resetting again. Yeah, it looks like I can only use the accelerator so much before it runs out on me. Yeah, oh man, so you got to think ahead. And like we've seen in the arcades, it makes you want to keep playing over and over again to get a better score and not crash into the other car. You got to dodge them. And we're going to see this moniker used in a few other systems. Oh, there you go. See, last minute quick change. You got to be fast. All right, going for a reset again. Game 1 of Dodge 'em for the Atari 26. Yeah, this is a great idea, and what amazed me is this was a dot collecting game before Pac-Man, and I thought the whole maze craze dot collecting was inspired by Pac-Man, but no, it was head-on first. But now we got Dodge 'em for the home. I'm gonna see if I can fake him out here. Okay, there we go. That's it. Okay, I think we can do it. Got it. Wow, they are going nuts with the flashing. Apologies for anyone sensitive to the flashing. Please close one eye. A lot of these games, I think they wanted everybody to have seizures, because we've seen quite a bit on the channel playing games this old. I would say one more round of Dodge 'em, keeping it going from one screen to another. I did see better explosions in the arcade, but I can't fault the Atari because this is at home. You're playing this for the home console. This is excellent. And I wonder if they're trying to go for another win like they did with Space Invaders. Space Invaders was the killer app for Atari. All right, so that was Dodge 'em for the Atari 2600. We pretty much got the gist of it. The only other way you could play is with 2 people, and that's the big one. That's what actually is going to push this with a higher rating for me, because every other iteration we've seen of head-on has been 1 player only with different computer cars going faster and faster. But now to play 2-player head-on is great. They had to change the name, and I'm wondering if there's any legality in there of how much this rips off head-on, because it had nothing to do with Sega. They called it a different name, and it looks and plays exactly the same. All right, so for Dodge 'em, we're going to give that one way above the normal. To play this at home, I'm thinking 4.5. I'm not going to go as high as 5 because we gave Space Invaders that would be the cream of the crop, the best thing you could play on the console up to this point. But this is up there. It does only have 3 game modes, and I consider this the better game to play at home on the console. So 4 stars, I could go there, but we're going to do 4.5 for Dodge 'em. This is one of the best games you could play for your home console so far. All right, so after Dodge 'em, 4.5 stars. Let's move on to our next game. Our next game is, oh, here we go. Yes, Japan is beginning to take over. This is Dora-chan, or Doraemon, if you're familiar with the character. Used in anime and manga in Japan. This is the first, I'm going to say it's the second licensed game we've seen from an anime or a licensed product from Japan. The first was Lupin 3. And let's take a look if we have any artwork for this. Looks like we just can move and accelerate. Clear logo, and there he is. Doraemon. The kids love him. It's 1980, and we're most likely playing this in Japan. with the Japanese text there. So let's step up to the arcades. 1980 in Japan. This is Dora-chan in the arcades. Released at some point in 1980. and Dora-chan says, please attack me. Insert coin. 1 player, 1 coin. 2 players, 2 coins. Crawldenchi 1980. All right, let's put a quarter in and see what it's like. We are playing every video game, including video games all over the world, in the order they were released. So we're getting a taste of everything. All right, so pushing the 1 player start button, and this is it. It looks like I am driving a car, and I'm not getting any sound emulated from the machine, but it's interesting because it's not playing like Rally X because it's not a maze game. I have free movement up, down, left, and right of a 4-way joystick, and I'm driving the car around. Do I have any other buttons? Let me check our buttons here. We do have button 1. It's not doing anything for me. Oh, there we go. So I got a little acceleration. Is it removing score or... So I'm trying to see what it does to affect... Can I just accelerate the whole time? And I'm not sure if I can, but notice how there's different creature faces. I got a dog and a cat and a monkey that are chasing me. And we don't have sound effects either. They weren't emulated or they were programmed a different way that they haven't been able to figure out yet. But this is... Yeah, this is pretty obscure because at this point, no one in America knew who Doraemon is. And in fact, if you know who Doraemon is, it'd be up there with Hello Kitty or Melody or any one of the properties in Japan that they moved over to the West. But it's a dot collecting game, but an interesting one that's, oh, you run into the wall and you die? Okay. But notice how they're just capitalizing on the character. They're hoping people will play because it's got Doraemon. Look, his face is right there. The first time we've ever seen his face to attract the kids to play. But it's not playing as a top-down maze game. It is top-down, but I'm... Oh, a replay. Does that mean... I'm doing it... Oh, I'm doing a bonus round. Okay. Oh, that's cool. Oh, and so Doraemon floats up... floats up hearts to the images at the top. That is adorable. Oh my gosh. If I was a little Asian girl in Japan right now playing Dora-chan in the arcades, this would be the #1 game to play. I do like the freedom. That's pretty cool. Getting I know it's a single screen game, but the freedom to move your car around and not have to follow a maze is pretty cool. And when you make it to the top and you touch Doraemon's face, then you have a heart that floats up. And the same thing, you're controlling the heart and you're trying to get it, I guess, to certain faces to get more points. So still different points. I'm getting vibes of a head-on because the car looks exactly the same, and a top-down like Rally X, but not necessarily with the same polish as Namco's game. And when you explode, it makes a sad face. Please attack me. I don't know if that's the right translation. Do we really want to be attacking the cute little character? I don't know. Okay, we'll give it one more run. Let's put another quarter in and push and start. So we do not classify this as a kid's game or early childhood game because it's not teach us anything. It's arcade through and through. It's a random dot collecting game though. I don't get the... Oh, nice. So I can pick up a power, like a power pellet, and it's not... Oh, okay, I still crashed. I thought I could plow through the cat and dog faces, but nope. All right, so yeah, it is fun. It works really well. Graphics very similar to what we saw on Lupin 3. That was by, I believe it was Taito. But that was the first time we saw a property in Japan license that you could play. And this is pretty obscure. If you're just tuning in, we're playing every video game released at some point in 1980, and we're doing it in alphabetical order. So we're getting all the games that don't have a definitive release date. People just say, it's 1980, we don't know where in 1980, and this is one of them, for sure. All right, so that works great. It is a licensed game that's not total junk to cash in on, hey, look, it's Doraemon, and let's play Doraemon. So I'm going to say a little bit above average for the time. I like how we have the freedom of a car that can move around the screen, and it looks like they were showing off the sprites. I just saw in the chat of the please attack me. Yes, and in fact, if anyone knows how to play Death Race that we could play on the channel, let me know, because that one, for all I know, is Lost to Time, the one by Exidy. Okay, for this one, I'm not going to say it's average because it is doing a little bit more. We're going to do just a notch above, 3.5 stars, and good for a licensed game. So that was Dora-chan. Let's move on to our next game. Yes, we are finally here. The very first release, at least to my knowledge, Dragster by Activision. This is the first time Activision had a video game, but we didn't have a definitive release, so it's down here with all the games that were released at some point in 1980. I did have a few ties, but I can't believe Wikipedia because it changes so much. I usually look at manuals, box art, or anything I can get from the developers, and I didn't get anything definitive for this one. But this one is another classic port from the arcade. Let's take a look at the artwork for Dragster by Activision. Drop your dragster into gear, stand on the gas, but don't blow your engine. Pop the clutch and go. Burn rubber. If you're here for the arcade episode, the arcade game of Dragster was almost like a simulation of playing a dragster. There was gears you had to shift, and if you went too fast, then you blew the engine, and it was a little more tricky than just pushing, going, and playing a racing game. So here we go. If you ever dreamed about being a drag racer, wait till you buckle up into your powerful dragster and rev up the engine. So this is a port of the arcade game. I want to see how it plays because it's still being controlled by the Atari joystick. One joystick, one button. Oh, it is? Okay, so this is going to be super hard. This is the first release that Activision had for the Atari 2600. This is the release that caused the biggest controversy because Activision slips this in, puts this on store shelves, and Atari goes, you can't do that. We're Atari. Every other release comes by the first party, and this is the first time we had a third-party release of a video game, and the courts ruled in Activision's favor. Yeah, you can make games for the system. It doesn't have to be Atari. And then opens the floodgates. So we have more and more third parties. Thanks, Activision. You guys are boss. Or what's a better 80s term? You guys rock. Okay, so this is the cartridge. Looks like we got two games. One or two players for game one, and then one or two players with steering for game two. So just two different games on the system. And there's some screenshots for us. Let's take a look at the manual. Activision's first manual. Dragster. You have in your hand one of the most exciting video games ever designed. And that's how they start every manual by Activision. The most exciting video game ever designed. Oh, here we go. Yeah, it takes a little time to learn because it's so challenging. It's very tricky, so please read the directions. Then you can aim for the world record. Yes, they're starting the contests for Activision, and that's pretty cool because this is way before internet, social media, and the information age. And to have contests, if you think about as a kid in the 80s, you open up the cartridge, you look at the manual, and you can realize you can take your score and go for people around the world. It would blow people's minds if we went back in time and said, now when you play games, everyone can see your score. You can post your score right in that moment and see everybody else in the world that played, and then realize just how terrible you are in the game. Because when you compete against everyone in the world, I mean, you usually don't show up on top. All right, so Dragster Basics, how to play the game. Turn the power on. Oh, yes, so we should see David Crane's picture at the bottom of it. Difficulty setting has no effect on the game. Okay, so it's just the game one or two. Your joystick is both the clutch and the gear shift. The red button is your gas pedal. Use the joystick for left joystick for the top car, right one for the bottom car. Hold the joystick with the button at the upper left. And to shift gears, clutch by pushing the joystick to the left, and shift by letting the joystick spring back to the center. Okay. Give your dragster gas by pressing the red button. Car starts in neutral, and there's 4 gears, 1, 2, 3, and 4. You must clutch and shift between each gear, and we did have difficulty with this in the arcade, doing that simulation of the clutch. Press the reset and push the joystick to the right to start each race. When the countdown is 0, you can start. If you drop into gear too soon before the end of the countdown, you'll appear on the screen and you'll have to wait for the next race. So the object of Dragster is to beat your opponent. Yeah, it's a racing game. And then watch the tachometer to see how fast your engine's turning over. A dark green line starts at the left side of the TV screen, and it turns red when you're about the middle as you're, and then it turns red when you're in the high power and the danger area. So you watch the tachometer, and then world-class times. In a one-on-one game, if you win and beat the other player and you want to become an expert drag racer, you'll want to come in under 6.5 seconds. If you can do better than 6 seconds, take a picture of the screen and send it to us, and we'll enroll you in the world-class dragster club. So under 6 seconds is the world-class dragster club. And back in the day, if you wanted to take a picture of a CRT television, it was tricky. You had to get the lights in the room a certain way, and if you remember, all the cameras had to be developed. So after you take a few pictures, you don't even know if it was a good picture until after you got it developed, maybe weeks later. So it was hard to do that. Ready for a bigger challenge? Try game 2. Not only do you have to clutch and shift, but now you have to steer the dragster between the grandstands. Oh, nice. So anytime under 6.2 seconds is sensational if you do game 2. And there he is, David Crane. He's just so excited to be here on Chronologically Gaming, can't you tell? David Crane, senior member of Activision's design team, started computer game playing as a team player of a college project. Dave is also the designer of Freeway, Fishing Derby, and Laser Blast by Activision. And we've seen Fishing Derby, haven't seen Freeway yet. Looks like we'll see those later if they're all released in 1980. And then it gives you tips and tricks on how to play. And there's his signature at the bottom. Love how Activision does that. All right, so for different versions of Dragster, we have European version and some alternate ones, and then a hack of Dragster. Shows the popularity of it. All right, here we go. Let's pop it in. This is Dragster by Atari for your Atari 2600, released in 1980. So here we are. We're at the beginning. If we start, it goes in neutral. And this one is, again, tricky because you have to get your gear shifter to go from neutral to... Yep, see, I'm holding the accelerator down, but it's not just as simple as pushing the button down. You have to know how to use the clutch and move the joystick at the right time. So it's going there, and the only way you can play on this one is 2 players at the same time, so it's waiting for the second controller. I'll turn one on just for fun. Just like we were playing with Dodgement's constant engine noises, if you want to call it that. There we go, let's go there. And then for the second one, we blew the engine out. When you hold the button down, it's basically going full blast to the end. So I'm going to go back to the manual. I'd like to see how to get the clutch to work correctly. So when the countdown reaches 0, you can start. If you drop into gear too soon, before the end of the countdown, early will appear on the screen. You have to wait for the next race. You can clutch during the countdown, but you can't drop into first until it's 0. And so, how to get the clutch to switch. Let's see, go back to, okay, it's right here. When you press reset, the joystick to the right starts the race. We did that. When the countdown reaches 0, you can start, okay, how to shift gears. Push the joystick to the left and shift by letting, oh, that's right, you gotta let it spring back. So to simulate this, it's like you're holding the joystick and you turn it and then you let go to let it fly back in place. Yeah, it's got to be extremely frustrating because you're used to racing games where you just hold the button down and then you go and you can drive. But this one is about how to use the clutch correctly. Okay, so I'm going to try it again and see if we can snap back in place. Let's switch from... there's me hitting the black and white color switch, by the way. So here we go. Let's do a reset and try it again. We're going to pop it in. So I'm going to 2. There we go. 3 to pop in place, and then I can drive in 3rd gear and then clutch. There we go. Oh, and then I blew the engine. Okay, so it does work correctly. Let's do a reset. It's very, very hard to do, though, because you have to be using the accelerator while you clutch. While you hold the clutch and then switch gears. Yeah, you have to do it really, really fast. Okay, so try it again. Is it only 4? There you go. Yeah, so it's 4 gears, and I made it 8 seconds. Not even close to the world record. All right, so doing it again. Reset. You got to be so quick. And then I blew the engine again. Because as soon as you push the accelerator, you got to start getting the clutch switch. That it still did it. If I let off the accelerator, then I can do it. But to get that quick gear switch is tricky. All right, trying it again. I'm going to do it slow without trying to go that fast. It's still blowing the engine. Because that tachometer at the bottom... Yeah, okay, so it's only 4 gears, if I remember correctly. But that's pretty much what we can do to get... There we go. So under 8 seconds, but you got to be so fast. Whip, 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 and then you can get this thing going faster and faster across the screen. So interesting concept, but it is really difficult to play. We did a better job than we did in the arcades, though. So this is the home port of Dragster. Considering everything else we played at the time, this is around average. I'd even consider this not the best game you could play for the home console, because it is only a couple game modes. We didn't play the other one where you have to dodge different pylons, but I'm thinking subpar, so it's a little less than average than what you'd see. It's not necessarily bad, but it's, well, I might even go around the range. This is our bad range. And so 1.5, 2 stars would be bad. This is around our average range. So I'm going to do 2.5 stars. It's not really the best thing, like slightly below average from what you see at the time. All right, so that was Dragster for the Atari 2600. And a very good home port. Still a difficult game, though. After Dragster, what is our next game? All right, our next game is Dunjonquest, Hellfire Warrior. This is the sequel, the second Dunjonquest game that we played. For the Commodore PET, I think the last one we tried didn't work well, and we played it instead on the TRS-80. So let's take a look at the artwork for Dunjonquest. Hellfire Warrior. Excellent box art, especially for a PC game. We got, looks like Satan is burning us over a pyre. Like, this is what it usually looks like when I play any role-playing games. And we have an advertisement flyer. This is by Epix. Computer games that thinkers play. Hellfire Warrior, really not for everybody. Newcomers to Dunjonquest should begin with something easier. Here the monsters are deadlier, labyrinths are more difficult, and the levels far more challenging. This is a role-playing game based on Dungeons and Dragons. The first one we saw was Temple of Apshai. That was one of the first, if not the first, home computer example of a Dungeons and Dragons game. And there you go, another advertisement flyer. And there's some prices we were talking about last episode. This one goes for, cassette is $25 and disc is $30. And then this is TSE Hardside. Not familiar with that distributor. At last, the sequel to the Temple of Apshai. Dunjonquest's new Hellfire Warrior adds 4 more levels to the lowest reaches of Apshai's dungeon. Undead and fiery demons roam seemingly endless labyrinths, gobbling up all but the hardiest warriors. If you're a beginner, perhaps you should explore the other regions first. So if we were to release this today, this would be kind of like a DLC, but the way this worked back then, no, it's its own release. It's kind of an add-on to Temple of Apshai, the second one. And there's the example of the screenshot. I can't remember if we got the Commodore PET to work or not, but this is the graphics. You're playing as that character. Not the circle, not the 4 dots, the other one that looks like an arrow. And that's how you move around from a top-down view playing the role-playing game. And then there we go. That's the example is the screenshots. We're probably going to get that great lime green tint whenever we boot it up. We do not have a manual for this one, so fingers crossed if the computer works. Here we go. This is Hellfire Warrior, the sequel to Temple of Apshai, released in 1980, and we're playing it for the Commodore PET. Okay, so for one person, fire department, press return to begin. And this one, I don't think uses a joystick. Commodore PET does not have a joystick, so we're doing keyboard only. All right, so hitting return. Do we want sound? Oh, yes. What will the Commodore PET do? Oh, what is this? This isn't Temple of Apshai. This is a different game. I don't know what game this is, but it's playing something else. Unless we were supposed to do something different when we booted it up. Let me see if there's any other game on the back burner. Maybe it's a different. No, that's the only one we have. So if this isn't Dunjonquest, maybe I pushed the wrong button whenever we booted it up. Brian Sawyer. No, this is not that one. This is a game called Fire, released in 1980 by Brian Sawyer. So this is the wrong game that was assigned to, because since it was Hellfire Warrior, they must have tagged it as that one. But it's still 1980. So this is Fire by Brian Sawyer. A one-person fire department is what the game is described as. Do we want sound? Sure. We'll play some Fire. Now, how this works, I do not know. Looks like I am in the... Yes, so I'm at the top. The way you play Fire is you're playing this helicopter, and you're supposed to drop the water over the top of the fire. If I know which button the drop is. Okay, so it is being controlled by the number pad. So 2, 4, 6, and 8 is how you control it. And what is my drop key? Do I got one? There it is. It's 5 in the middle. So here we go. Yeah, you bring it over the top, and then you drop the water Yep, and that's it dropping, and it's putting out the fire. So it's a fire department game. But doing it from the helicopter is pretty cool. Yeah, I would say we got some lag. It has, when I push the keys on the keyboard, it responds a little bit later. Yeah, it's really tricky to play. But this looks like it was either a homebrew game or a game that was one of the ones you could program into your Commodore PET. Yes, magazine game. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure this was a game from a magazine that you could program in for your Commodore PET. Well, too bad we didn't get Hellfire Warrior. I'll have to see where that one ended up. But this one is Fire, released in 1980. And I would give this slightly below average because I'm not going to say that every time you put in code yourself from a magazine it's going to be a bad game, but it works really well and plays all right. So for the time though, what you can play on a home computer, I will say this: if you were there in 1980 and you had the magazine, you put the whole code in for the game and you start playing the game, it feels great. And so for me to rate the game, because we've seen everything else for the home computer space, the chronologically gaming channel is a little unfair. We are playing everything. It's like we are there for the newest release and we're getting everything, like we're the richest kid in the world. And we're getting everything as soon as it comes out. And so this game is niche because for people who couldn't play these games, and before renting was a thing, you wanted to get free games that you could type in, and it makes you feel so good when you're able to get it to work and run correctly. So I'm not really going to base that on the score, but just keep that in mind. Being there, it's totally different. Oh yes, that's true. When you had to debug when problems went wrong, that's right. So for this one, I'm going to give below average. It is not as good, and I'm going to go down in the bad range because considering everything else we could play and have played for the home computer space, I'm going to give this one 2 stars. No, we're going to go lower. 1.5 stars for Fire, even though it says Hellfire Warrior. We'll look that one up and be able to check that one out next time. All right, so that was for Fire. Our next game is in the arcades, and this is Eagle. Let's take a look at the artwork for Eagle. Eagle, the eagle has landed by Century. Nice advertising flyer, right to the point. I actually like this arcade cabinet better than the other picture. That's a terrible picture of Eagle. And there's the PCB. There's our control panel. Looks like, yes, we're moving left, right, and fire. We have another shooter. Those shooters, man, they are taking over. And there's the example of the arcade marquee for Eagle. I'm expecting colorful starfields to be scrolling in the background. Oh, yes. All right, let's see if the manual has anything for us. Oh, okay, it's a bootleg or a clone of Mooncresta. So this is the Mooncresta manual, and that's exactly what Eagle is. Looks like they swapped a few of the sprites, possibly. And for different versions, they just have 3 different ones for Eagle. We're going to play the first version. This was released in 1980 for the arcades by Century. And it might be exactly the same as... Okay, it looks a little different, but it might be just they're swapping out a few sprites. Trip to the Space War. Eagle by Century. Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, it looks... It's going to play the exact same way, but just looks a little different. Make the rockets dock. For those of you that haven't played Mooncresta, this is how you play. You have a shooting segment and a docking segment. And there it is. All right, let's put a quarter in. And push and start. They tried to redo the sound. Wow, that was not the best. Compared to Mooncresta, that is not the best opening. Yep, I'm getting all the same vibes. It has the same patterns of ships as Mooncresta. So it's the same thing, just sprite swapped. It's Century's Eagle. So excellent sound effects. We gave Mooncresta 5 stars because of how good it was, and this still plays well and is good, but it is the clone, so it's not going to get as high of a rating, but still very enjoyable. And I'm wondering which regions this was released to compared to Mooncresta. I believe Mooncresta was first North America, since it was Century, and maybe Eagle was somewhere else. There we go. I'm only able to fire 1 at a time, but I'm hoping to keep this ship alive because we can dock it with the next one and then increase our firepower. That's true. The sounds are giving me Galaxian vibes. Here we go. Now it's time to dock the ship. Nice and easy. That's it. Nope, nope. Nice and easy. Right on. There we go. Now we're double firepower in here. Oh, and they did the swoop around. No! The only one that gets me. I wonder if that really was the sound, the ditty they played before you started, because that jingle sounds a little off. Like the pitch is off or something's different about that one. Mooncrest had a much better one. It really reminds me of playing hacked games of games I know, where they try to change the sound to make it different, but it's not better. It's just sounds different. Come on. Oh, see? They're trying to go... They got me. Very cool that we got the artwork that you see around the cabinet, because Mooncrest had its own as well. All right, so that was Eagle. We saw the two different modes, the dock and the shoot, but it's basically, we're playing Mooncrest with a reskin. So for Eagle, still plays very well. Excellent game. Considering it's not the original based on Mooncrest, I'm not going to give it anywhere the highest rating that we saw. So we're going to go ahead and go for 4 stars for Eagle. Still excellent game. Great to play. So 4 stars for Eagle. Let's see what our next game is. After Eagle, all right. This is electronic football, not Mattel football. The original Mattel football we saw in the 70s. This is our next handheld. Looks like it's not the sequel, because we've even seen Football 2 by Mattel. Which American football is this? Released in Japan? So they had an American football handheld in Japan? Wow, and there it is. So this is, looks like this one's electronic football, and they have a button for downfield, pass, and kick, moving up and down, and then it's for 2 players, so that's awesome. You can have one person on either side. This would be great for a school bus. If one of your buddies pulled this out of their backpack, that's awesome. And then for, yikes, I don't know if we can get this to run. We do have a play button. I'm going to play and see if the handheld comes up. Let's see if electronic football on the handheld works. And it looks like it's only emulating the top of the screen, not the entire thing. Yeah, so it has the rotation, so it's not done yet. We just got a little taste of what it is, but the simulator is not complete. And I kind of expected that, but still pretty cool for the time. And it looks like the only box art we have is the Japanese box art. But for electronic football, that would be great to play. We gave 5 stars to the baseball game for the Milton Bradley Microvision. It had interchangeable cartridges. You could play 9 innings of baseball, so that'd be one of the best handhelds you could play. This one's up there, though. To play football, 2 players is pretty good. So we're going to give 4 stars for electronic football. That's awesome. All right, so after that, our next game is electronic table soccer, not a handheld. All right, so this is for the Magnavox Odyssey 2. Oh, nice. They're going for foosball. So, yeah, it's a foosball game you can play on your system. Let's take a look at the artwork for electronic table soccer. Foosball. Computerized tournament soccer table complete with invisible electronic lightning rods for super fast play action. In other words, it's foosball, but they didn't want to program in the rods. I think that's how they're describing it. And then for the cartridge, there you go. There's one game. It's only the table soccer. And I really enjoy Magnavox Odyssey. While it doesn't get the same height or impressiveness as in television and Atari, Odyssey is still pulling its punches. It's doing pretty good, at least for quality. Also, the originality of the Odyssey 2 games is excellent. All right, so that is the artwork. Do we have a manual? We have a homebrew manual. How do you play electronic table soccer? You push number 1, left hand controls the goalkeeper on the left side of the screen, right hand controls the goalkeeper on the right. So you play against 2 different players. Each joystick controls 3 sets of electronic lightning rods. And then the ball will come into play from the bottom of the screen. It looks like the only thing we have for controls is, moving the joystick. So probably don't have a computer to play, but I'll plug in my second controller and see what it's like. So here we go. We're popping in electronic table soccer for our Magnavox Odyssey 2, released in 1980. All right, so push game number 1 on the console, and there it is. So I'm in control of the blue, and it'd be the second player. Wait a second. I'm not moving the second player, and they're controlling... it's being controlled by a computer player. So I'm able to play against someone else. And they're adding a different kind of functionality where you can pass between 2 different people. So the Magnavox Odyssey 2's controller was very similar to Atari's. It had one joystick, 1 button, and so whenever you... Do I have 2? Yeah. I have 1 button that I can pass back and forth if I go up and down, or I can try to get it past the computer. The beeping sound is so... it's ear-tearing, though. It's way up there. I'm trying to go... It won't let me continue to move... There you go. Okay, so you gotta whip it around, and then it actually spins. I want to see if we can play this with 2... Yeah, this is a very difficult computer. It won't let me pass by. Go, go, go! Okay, so presentation's there, but man, controls... It's rough. It's not playing very smooth, because there's only 1 button, so you have a pass, and then if you're in the right position, then they'll spin around like you're playing foosball, and then you can hit it for the attack, but not going as well. Let me see if I can get this to play with 2 players instead of 1 in the computer. It only said there was 1 game mode on the cartridge, though. Let's see what happens if we push 2 and it plays with 2 players. First foosball game on the channel. Here we go. Let's see, 2 players. Does 2 work? Yes. Okay, so we now have 2 players we can play against, human and if you notice, whenever you play, you just twist your players. You can go up and down, but as soon as you move left and right, then they switch places, and then you can go for an attack. There you go, like that. And yeah, it's going to bounce back and forth. Oh yeah, look at the physics are way off. So it'd be more fun to play with a human than with a computer. Computer way too difficult, but it works. It works okay. I'm going to give this one a below average rating because it's not doing anything well. It looks the part, but as far as how it plays, not so good. 2 players would be better if I had someone else to play with me. So I give it that, but for the time, we're going to give this one 2.5 stars for electronic table soccer. All right, so after that, what is our next release? All right, nice. We're going to the Atari home computer. Released in 1980, this is Energy Czar. Gotta be simulation, gotta be. Let's take a look at the artwork for Energy Czar. For the Atari 400 or 800, we're going to pretend we're upscaling. We're playing on the Atari 800. Paid the big bucks for the home computer. Yep, and that's pretty much it. Looks like we're going to have a user interface. Lots of bar graphs. But let's see what happens if we boot it up. Fingers crossed. Every home computer's a gamble because you didn't just boot up games and play. Yeah, it's not going to boot because we have to boot it into BASIC and know what command to boot it up to. But we don't have the manual to know what the command is in BASIC to boot it to. And usually I can get these with a certain file that we don't have to boot it and then know the BASIC command. So sadly, all those simulation fans out there, you're not going to get a taste of Energy Czar. I'm going to give this one a 0 for now, but it's not the end. We're going to see this game on other platforms besides the Atari home computer. All right, so after Energy Czar, our next game is football for the Coco. Nice. I'm really excited to see how this one runs. Okay, so let's take a look at the artwork for football on the TRS-80 color computer. And back of the box, no help from Radio Shack. I know these are reconstructed boxes, but they don't tell anything about the game on it. And there's the cartridge for football. It's got to be 1980 when all the games have one word. They just get right to the point. And we don't have a manual, so we're popping it in and we're playing. Here it is. This is football for the TRS-80 color computer, released in 1980. We're on. Nice. Okay, so it is controlled with the... Can we use the Nice. Okay. Yeah. So we can use the paddle controller or the controller that you plug into the socket of the computer. And it looks like we have for red and blue team, you pick one or the other. I'm getting control any game that has multiple options. I think the emulator has 2 paddles plugged in and 2 joysticks plugged in. So there's 4 different controls. So you notice how I'm moving, and one of them is moving the paddle, but one of them is moving the. So I think there's a mismatch of how many things are plugged into the system right now. But let's see if we can go for the beginning. Looks like we've got 5 players on the field, and yeah, okay. So it's actually scrolling down the field. And I'm not playing against... Oh, they sacked me. I'm not playing against the computer. It is playing 2-player. I'm sure they had the option. You could switch one or the other. Was there a paddle, though, also for the Coco? Or an option for the paddle? I'm going to just go for it. he threw it the total wrong way. Let's do short pass. There we go. Oh, I see. So maybe there's a third-party controller that's plugged in. Interesting way they chose to throw the ball, though. When the quarterback moves all the way to the left side of the screen, he has an arm that sticks out, and you have to base his arm movement on where the ball's going to go. So watch the far left character. His arm moves, and then you have to time that slow movement of his arm for where the ball's going to go next. American football is a very difficult one to translate to the home computer space. We're not going to see anything good for a very long time that plays very well. Active catcher. Yeah, you got to have someone that's ready on the other side. All right, so that one's rough, but I wouldn't expect much because American football is really difficult to translate to the home computer space. It works all right. So I'm going to say for the time, we're going to give that one around average for what we'd see. Color computer, the other ones we've seen on the arcade, the best one at this point is Atari's arcade football. It uses the 4 trackballs. That one would be the best one so far. But as far as home computer, we're going to go for 3 stars for football on the TRS-80 color computer. 5 characters you can play at once. That's pretty good. With a little scrolling. That's impressive. Oh, so roughly... Oh, so launch title. Okay. Yeah, whenever the Coco was released, the release titles, I couldn't pin down exactly. So I hear summer 1980, so either June, July, or August. But since I didn't get a definitive release, we're just making sure we don't miss them at this point. All right, so after football, our next game is Fracas by Stuart Smith for the Apple II. What is Fracas? It's got to be adventure, is my guess. Let's take a look at the artwork. There it is, Fracas, a challenging computer adventure for Apple II and any number of players. Any number of players? How about 20? Can we play with 20 players? There's the 5 1/4 floppy disk. Fracas. What is... Oh, is it a roguelike? Nice. There's a screenshot. It's got to be, right? Yes. I want to see what kind of roguelike this is. We do not have a manual, so hopefully they give us some information when we boot it up. All right, this is Fracas for the Apple II. What is Fracas? We will see. I can't believe how many roguelike games we've seen before Rogue. Rogue is the one that we all use the moniker, but it wasn't even the first one. All right, so to continue old scenario, enter 0, otherwise press return. All right, way to go, Stuart. Let's play some Fracas. I wonder if this is a roguelike this you can control with the Apple joystick. Please wait. Well, you know what? I don't want to wait. I want to fast forward. Faster? No. Oh, it won't let me go faster? No. I thought I could boost it to more than 100%, but no, it is going to load the game. And any roguelike we've played, if you were here for the very first roguelike we ever saw, it was on the Commodore PET. I couldn't believe there was a roguelike on the Commodore PET, but it took so long once the game had booted up that it would be about 5 or 6 seconds after you moved your character. You'd wait 5 or 6 seconds, and then they'd move 1 pixel. And then you could go to the next part and then wait for a long time and then move another 1 pixel. So extremely slow, but the novelty of playing a game that generates itself and changes every time is amazing. So there you go. It finally loaded. Welcome to Fair-Off Town. You may add 8 characters. Do you want to add a character? Yeah, I'll add a character. What is the name of the first character? Last person was L. Curtis B. There we go. I spelled it right. Alliance level. Oh yeah, they're going role-playing. Totally. Curtis B, your alliance level is 6. Start at the beginning or randomly. We'll do beginning. Let the computer create a character. Yes. Okay, so L. Curtis B's life force is 7, strength 7, skill 12, and we've seen this in role-playing games. They randomize all the stats, and then do you want to accept? So they say, do you want to keep these stats? Let's say no, we don't want those. And then they randomize them again, so you can keep going until you find something that looks good. They're even randomizing armor. So it looks like we're not purchasing armor or weapons, but we'll say yes, we'll accept that one. All right, so armor, let's do 5. And then there it is for armor. You can add 7 characters. You want to add another one? Yeah, we'll add another one. So multiple characters is the first time we've seen. Trying to think, because even a Calibeth, it was only 1 player. And every other role-playing game, either text adventure or top-down dungeon crawler, it's still just been 1. We haven't had multiple characters. Okay, so let's do Arcade Jeff. Alliance level for Arcade Jeff is 1. Start at the beginning, yes. Let the computer create a character, yes. So there's our stats for Arcade Jeff. Accept them, yes. Armor, what? We only get 1 or 2? We'll do 2 then. And there's our full stats. Do we want to add a character? No. So game speed, let's go fast. I want to see what fast actually looks like. Do not hit return while playing. Turn number 1, Fair-Off Town Square. Oh, so we start in a town. And it looks like Arcade Jeff, and so we have 2 characters. And it's allowing us to play with multiple people. Let's see, does this use the joystick? No Atari joystick command. Okay, so no joystick. It'd be way over the top to have that. Okay, so let's see how this runs if I try to move around. How do I move? Keyboard is not working for 2, 4, 6, and 8 on the number pad. No arrow keys. What about north? Okay, oh, it looks like we only have choices. Run, dodge, attack, retreat, and rest. So let's do run. And then there's how you can move to run. So, oh, I see. It is using the keyboard controls. So if you want to go up, we do 1. Yep, there we go. And I have 4 movement. You can see my movement's going down. Very interesting. And then, yeah, it opens up the next room. And then we have an enemy that's in there. Looks like we're in the town park with Jack the Ripper. Okay, this is great. So this is a roguelike before the game Rogue, and we've seen a handful on the channel. And this one's allowing multiple characters so 2 people can play. And it's probably one of the first hot seat games we've seen with a role-playing game. So this allows people to switch out. I'm not familiar with the GR mode. Are you talking about the graphics mode or the engine that was built for this? So this is... I'm going to go ahead and do Arcade Jeff's choice. Let's do run. I'll have him help out his buddy. And you can see we have different movement until we move left. Let's see if we can move on top of each other. Oh no, the door's stuck. So 1 character moved through the door. Now you can't get through the other side. All right, so let's go. I only have 1 move left. We'll go up. All right, so here we go. Next character's in the town park. It shows how much money they have. And then it looks like the number of people there. It looks like Jack the Ripper's here. So the Jack the Ripper is the green one that just did its turn to move down. Let's try moving. Oh, see, can we retreat? Let's see if we can move past the door. Will it let us? It did. Okay, so open the door up. So maybe that'll allow the other character to go through. After we move through, though, it just switched to the other person. So I want to move them to the other side. Looks like they have only a move of 1, and then we'll move away from Jack the Ripper. Most likely going to die on that one. And then, yeah, so it's allowing each person to select their action and what they want to do. This is pretty good. Oh, the low res mode. Yes, I understand. Yeah, the Apple II have the 40 column, 80 column mode. I can't remember, but yeah, this one's playing. I think they're expecting that to be the Pixel, but I don't think that the Apple II could split. I don't think they could split the low res mode and then have the text displayed at the bottom. I'm not too sure on that. Okay, so let's move to the right, and then next one we're gonna move up to the doorway. No retreat except by request. And it's going turn by turn. Let's go ahead and do run. Go to the right. Oh, it's not letting us. We'd have to run or retreat. So let's go ahead and retreat up to the top. And there it goes, letting us go in the room now. And it's opening up the next room. Like any other roguelike, it's generating this for us before we begin. I think that's correct. Yeah, I'm looking in the chat, and the way they designed this is possible they're doing a low resolution mode to make the graphics happen. And I could believe that, because to do a roguelike on the Apple II, it takes a lot. The very first one we ever saw was Beneath Apple Manor, and it was very, very slow. And it had very similar graphics to this. It may not be the same engine, but it played or it looked the same way. All right, so let's go ahead and do the same. Let's run. There's no move, right? Yeah, it's just run. And then we got 8 movements, so I'm going to move all the way up. And you see moving one at a time. We get the response time is fast, though. Considering other roguelikes that take a slog to move around, you actually can move your character quick on this one. All right, so let's move to the right. And let's see what's in this room up here. Oh, and this door is stuck, so can't go through that one. And then you can see we're switching to the other character in Killjoy Alley. All right, so moving up to the top, let's see if we can go to the right. There we go, and opens up the next room. Anybody in here? Looks like there's a zombie and a ghost. So 2 enemies in here. Let's see what happens. And then, okay, so L. Curtis B still in the town square. We can't go in that door, so let's move down to the other one. Going down here and then to the right. So now I am one of the characters, L. Curtis B, down on the right. And then I can continue to move. No one's in this alley. That's nice. And now it switches to the other character who's now at the top. This is Arcade Jeff, surrounded by a zombie and a ghost. So ghost turn, we can see the ghost move. Looks like the ghost is played by green, and then the zombie's played by yellow. So let's attack. We're going to do attack. And then, interesting, when you do attack, you still move and go for the attack. So I'm going to go up, and we're going to attack the ghost and see what happens. And Arcade Jeff misses the ghost. Zombie's turn. What does the zombie do? Okay, zombie's moving in close. Looks like we're on the main street with L. Curtis B. Yeah, this is really cool, because I'm familiar with other role-playing games that take turns, and you're all in the same party. But this is 2 people that you can split on the same map. This is pretty cool. Ingenious for the time. All right, so I'm down in the bottom right with L. Curtis B in the alley, and then I'm going to do the same thing, run, and move across. Let's see if we can get in this room, but I'm out of moves for that turn. Now we move back to Arcade Jeff. He's in trouble with the ghost. Oh, the ghost is doing his move. Okay, so here's the ghost turn. Ghost didn't do anything. Zombie's going. I wonder if we're going to miss the ghost every time because it's a ghost. But let's try attack, and what happens? Ow, bumped into somebody. Okay, so we bumped into the ghost. I want to hit the ghost. And yes, we missed the ghost. Maybe because it's a ghost, we're going to miss every single time. All right, so we're back down the bottom right, Main Street, and moving the character over to the right side. Oh, we'll go up in the door and see what's in here. And then it's open the next room. Looks like we're in the chapel. And going in the chapel, it says we got some ducats. Maybe we picked up some money. And there's some people in here, so let's move one more time up. All right, this is excellent. Considering the other roguelikes we played and the home computer games we played and every other game up to this point, this is... oh, zombie grazes Jeff. Armor, and oh, it winces. So it's explaining one thing at a time, but to split 2 characters in one is pretty cool. All right, so that actually that's a game I would want to continue to play. If this was 1980, this would be really nice. So that was Fracas. I've never even heard of that one. This is way up there. For all the games you could play at the time and what we've seen up to this point, this is, yeah, at least 4. I agree. I could even go higher because of all the other role-playing games that we've seen. Akalabeth is up there. It has that first-person dungeon crawl, and that does provide better visuals. But this is ahead of its time, allowing multiple people. We even have more options. We can play with more. And I could see if you were throwing a party and you wanted to do hot seat turns, you got multiple people play, and it builds the world for you, and you play, and then when someone dies, it's permadeath like any roguelike. So I actually want to go for 5 because I'm trying to think of anything that would be able to top this considering what we've seen, because the best ones have been a Calibeth, the Black Mage, and I'm trying to think of other, because the other roguelikes haven't played this well. We did go on the fast speed, but it still was responding better. Yeah, I'm going to go 5 stars for Fracas. This is excellent. One of the best games you could play and the best one we've seen so far on the channel for 1980. That is a great way to end the night. I love to keep playing because that was so cool. Never seen anything like that on the channel so far. All right, so that is where we're going to end the evening with a great finish, a game I've never even heard of before. And we're going to continue on next time playing every video game in order of release. Who knows what's going to be next, but we will see you then. Have a good one. Hey everybody, thanks for checking out the channel and joining me on my quest to play every single video game in order of release. We'll be streaming live every weekday at 9 p.m. Central, so join us and let us know if we miss any games along the way. This video would not be possible without RetroArch and Launchbox. Please tell your friends there's some crazy guy out there trying to play every single video game. You can always check out Chronologically Gaming on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. Chronologically Gaming is the name to look for. We will catch you next time.